Hey everybody, welcome to today's Revitalize Reconnect Meet, where I get the opportunity to meet with a business owner and entrepreneur from across the UK business community. And today comes with no question. I've got the great opportunity to be with a gentleman that I've got to know over the last 3 years. It feels like dog years, more like 20 years. I have got to know him over 3 years really well.
Wow.
He's been in his own business and self-employed for over 27 years. I just can't believe the time that he's been involved in his own business. But he's had some wonderful achievements in producing and writing singles from across LA. We're featured on The Ellen Show, working with Grammy Award winners. Can you please welcome with me today the one and only Mr. Greg Friel from Freelance Music. Greg, how are you doing today?
I'm doing very well, sir. I almost believed you when you said all that. That was really quite good.
You're more than welcome. Well, you give me the update anyway. So that is what you've done for 27 years. But we're going to find out a bit more about that today.
God, I feel really old.
Well, I was going to say something. You don't look that old anyway. For people who are listening,
You're too
that old. Doesn't look that old at all. So could we start today with a little intro from Greg Friel about your business and where you are right now?
Right now, I'm in my front room. Like everybody, working from home. Wow, what a weird time this is. So yeah, freelance music and media. 27 years. I've been working primarily in music. Over the past sort of 4 or 5 years, kind of diversified more into working with businesses. But my primary business is working in music as I start off as a singer and then songwriter and record producer. And that's, as you say, taking me kind of all over, doing projects in LA, Nashville, New York, Amsterdam, Germany, records out in the Far East and all sorts of stuff. But also doing really wonderful cheesy things like jingles and production music for local commercials and bits and pieces like that. But over the past 4 years, I've kind of diversified to work more with businesses, doing a lot of the social media marketing side of things for them, as well as creating the content, the audio content in the form of podcasts and videos and all that kind of side of things. And the stuff that I was doing anyway for the artists I was working with, and it just became this thing that, I sort of met a few other businesses and they were like, oh, could you do that? I was like, oh, right, okay, yeah. And other businesses outside of the music industry tend to have money. Musicians don't. So that helps. And particularly at the moment, it's obviously everything's online. So I have my recording studio is actually in the spare room of my house. It's normally, as you know, in the center of Glasgow. But 5 days before lockdown, I moved everything home, and so I've been able to do certain things from the house. Obviously, there's nobody coming in or doing that side of things, so I haven't been able to do that side of things. But it's about diversifying and just being flexible and kind of trying to think of things in a different way. So if it can be done online, I'm doing that online. So I've ended up doing one-to-one coaching with businesses and with sole traders, people who are just maybe getting started, doing that on content creation for social media, marketing strategy, and I've actually just started doing some webinars for Business Gateway as well. So I'm doing the beginner's guide to podcasting, beginner's guide to vlogging, and that's with a V, not an F, and beginner's guide to TikTok, which we come on as well. So anything to do with creativity is really my thing. I'm the guy that you call if you need creative ideas about things.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, Greg. And I mean, I've seen what you've been doing over the years has been phenomenal in regards of how many people you've helped and supported, and even some of the names that you've brought up in the time of those sort of areas, and especially in business. But from the achievements, when I looked at it, I didn't read all the achievements this morning. I didn't tell everybody everything that's in there. And I would like to really find out what's been your biggest highlight, your achievement year to date with your business. What's been the biggest peak of the mountain?
Well, I suppose there's different things in different areas. Musically, I've had quite a few interesting experiences. Being in LA, working with there was a young guy I was working with called Tom Andrews, who ended up getting signed by Generous, and his first single was a song that I'd written with him, and we ended up releasing a sort of version of the original recording that I'd done, and then sort of re-recorded bits and pieces with a different producer, and I ended up working with a Grammy winner, Tony Maserati, on that record. And I mean, even going into his studio to have a chat with him, you just kind of like, so what you've been working on, Tony? Because, oh, Beyonce was in yesterday, Lady Gaga was in last week. We just did 6 tracks for her album, and I'm like, oh, and you did my song in between Lady Gaga and Beyonce. Okay. So that was kind of weird. And it was just an incredible time. It was very intense. I ended up, working with the choir for the live show, for the Ellen show, and I was, helping with rehearsals for that. And they're the choir that do American Idol and all this kind of stuff. So you're like, right, okay, we're doing American Idol Tuesday, right? So it was all a bit very strange. So I mean, incredible experience and getting to work with some of the people who are like with Tony Maserati, for example. I mean, he's somebody who I have books on how to do mixing, and somebody who I've learned from. So to actually be involved in a record with him was amazing. So that was an incredible experience from the music set of things. More recently, with the social media side of things, I was helping a charity. I was asked by a charity, and it's kind of, this is actually where the two worlds meet. I was asked by this charity if I would write and produce a song for the charity because they wanted to raise awareness for what it was they were doing, and they were just setting up the charity at the time. So I was like, okay, well, think of it this way. Nobody's going to buy a record because people don't buy records anymore, but you can do things like have a Just Giving page or some kind of thing to raise awareness. So in social media terms, we call that creating pillar content. So you have this content that is like the main thing, and then from that, everything flows. Mm-hmm. So we did the song, we did the promo video for that. And then from that, then it was being on Twitter, being on every conceivable social media platform and trying to reach out to the people that you want to reach. And for them, they really had this a bee in the bonnet about reaching Robert Downey Jr. because, and I'm like, right, okay. So, I mean, obviously, I think the thing is that's really exciting about the times that we live in is that you can reach anybody if you're patient, if you're consistent, and if you're passionate about the thing that it is that you're doing, and you're telling your story, and your story is meaningful and emotional, then people who witness that story are actually going to buy into it. And that's the whole idea behind social media these days. It's not a sales platform, really. It's really about storytelling. So I in a small way, I'm not going to take credit for all the hard work that they did, because they're massively consistent with their approach to everything, and they did research online, and they eventually got hold of Robert Downey Jr. and then he did a FaceTime call with Aaron, the wee boy, and then he ended up coming over. He was filming Avengers here in Scotland, ended up having a weekend with them, and I think he's been involved in the charity and raising money for them. So, I mean, an incredible, win for the charity. But that was all to do with following that through, having that content in the first place that tells the story. It's an emotional story, it's engaging, and having the consistency and the patience to do that for a year and a half before you get even the sniff of something happening. And I think that's the thing an awful lot of businesses can learn from that so many people are just looking for a quick fix, and if I do this piece of content or this video, then next week I'm going to suddenly have something incredible happen. And that's not really what it's about. It's about telling your story and taking time to build that audience and reach that audience. So yeah, I mean, it was great to be involved in that, and even in a small way. As I say, I wouldn't want to take credit for all of the hard work that they did, but I think the thing is for me is that it helps validate my whole theory about that, the content and putting it out there and telling your story, you know.
I think it's right. I mean, what you say then, a great achievement, and it is a phenomenal achievement. And congratulations, especially for all in hand with what's going on. But I think the word you mentioned there was consistency, and having that long-term frame of mind. Whereas a lot of business owners will look at the short-term gain instead of looking at the long-term. And you've got to have that patience, that consistency. You've got to keep it going regularly. You can't just do a spell and then stop. You've got to keep it going, and that's what happens. It might take a year. It might take 6 months. It might take 2
not
years,
happen.
or it might not ever happen.
And I think this is the thing: is so many people will say they want a guarantee that is definitely going to happen before they even start, and that kind of undermines them getting started. So they second guess the content that they're creating and what it is that they're doing. So they end up not doing anything, and they keep putting things off. Yeah. And we're all guilty of that. It's human nature. But I think, you know, that's the thing that you've really got to get past. There's no guarantees for success in anything. And I mean, certainly from me over the years, you know, it's like that. It goes, okay, this is going good. Oh, this is going bad. You know, and that's just the way it is. But the thing that carries me through is that there's that through line of, this is what I'm passionate about, and this is what I want to do. And it's a choice for me. I'm not going to bitch and moan when things are bad or not going as well, because it's my choice. I chose to do what it is that I'm doing. And if I wanted to have more consistency, I'd work in a bank, you know what I mean? But I wouldn't, you know. It's just, you do what's right for you.
And I think it's right you say I was reading something yesterday and listening to Audible as well. It's why you do what you do. It's your why. That's one of the big things that I've been speaking about recently as well. So thank you for sharing that. With everything that's going on at the minute, especially in the present climate, you talked a little bit about diversifying your business, working from home, not from the office or the studio in Glasgow. What have you done recently in the last 9 weeks that has made it a difference to diversify your business, Greg? What have you changed?
I think more than anything else is getting into the whole Zoom culture, like we all have, and doing one-to-one coaching on Zoom, and doing webinars on Zoom, and just being really, really comfortable with it. I mean, as you know, I'm a blatant show off. The fact that I'm on this call and I have a ring light on to make sure I'm perfectly lit is all you really need to know. But I mean, when I'm doing a webinar, it's a show. I can't help think of it. It's a gig. So, you know, if there's a camera involved, I'm kind of like, oh, right, performance mode. So, and that works for me, you know. So it's like, okay, fine. You want to educate, you want to hopefully inspire people, but be entertaining as well. Doesn't just because you're doing a webinar, or even if it is PowerPoint and all those side of things, but it doesn't mean it has to be boring. You know, it can still be informative, but hopefully vaguely entertaining. So I've been doing a lot more of that. And I think the thing that's been really exciting about all of that is that so much happens quicker. You know, I find that whenever you first meet somebody in a Zoom room full of loads of people, you then immediately get that next connection to have a one-to-one with them, rather than a vague, here's my business card, we'll catch up at some point. It happens instantly, and you got that next thing set up normally pretty quickly. So that I find that better than the real world side of things. I mean, certainly for me, I'm going to be doing a lot more of the Zoom calls side of things rather than running around from meeting to meeting, you know, burning up petrol.
Yeah.
And spending stupid sums of money on bad coffee. You know?
It's not too bad. So normally when you buy it anyway, it's usually bad coffee when you buy it. But
yes.
But I think it's right. Everyone's sort of embracing the Zoom, and especially when you're working online now, you can get so much more done. I think productivity's increased up, but it makes you get better at it as you keep doing it and keep learning from it. So again, a great share. Now, with everything you do on social media, everything you've done within your business, within music and everything else, there's many people out there at the moment who are starting to create their own business, who are now starting to think, well, I can do something for myself and I've got a great idea. But what top tip would you share to many people out there who are listening and watching on a social media tip? What would you say to them? That's the golden nugget of tips I can give to everybody today. What would you share?
Consistency, more than anything else. Once you get started, keep going. The amount of times people start a podcast or whatever, and they say, "Oh, I'm going to do this every Monday. This is going to go out," and it lasts for 2 weeks or 3 weeks, and then it doesn't continue. And don't get me wrong, I mean, life gets in the way. And for me, last year, I wasn't able to do my podcast as consistently as I normally do. But like I say, life gets in the way sometimes, and that's just what happens. But more than anything else, if you can be consistent, because whenever you start to build an audience online, they then expect to see you on that Monday at 6 o'clock or whenever it is you're going to go live or post your latest podcast or video. So if you don't, then they'll go somewhere else, because there's just countless other pieces of content for them to pick up on. So consistency above all else, but I always say patience, consistency, and engagement are the 3 rules when it comes to social media generally. There's no quick fix, as we said before, and being consistent with it. But also, the question I get asked all the time is, how do I get more engagement? Well, by being engaging. The amount of times people post a piece of content and then disappear off social media, you kind of like, hold on, that's kind of like me doing a webinar and saying, okay, we're going to do Q&A now, and then I leave. It's like nobody's actually having the opportunity to engage with me and actually ask that question. So you really need to be, all of these platforms, whether it's Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, any of them, they're built from the whole idea that they want to keep you on the platform. So if you're creating content and having a dialogue in the community, if you're in groups on Facebook and on LinkedIn as well, but if you're very active within each of these communities, you're keeping people on their platform. So they're going to reward you by the algorithm is going to show your content to more people in the newsfeed because they see that you're on all the time. So if you're not on, and if you're not on being consistent with your content, then guess what? Your content's not going to show up, to other people. So, and also, the other thing people ask all the time is, am I posting too much? No, you're not, because most people don't see anything that you're posting. It's just the way it tends to work these days. You're lucky if 3% of the people that follow you see any of your content. So I would, post as well.
And I think it's right what you say, and you mentioned that before. It's like, am I doing too much? No, just keep doing what you're doing, because again, it's that consistency again of regularly doing it Monday to Friday, certain times through the day, keeping those posts running on social media and being visible is one of the big things. I mean, being visible.
I know it's one of the revitalize things that you always talk about, being visible, and it's just so true. I mean, if you're not there, people forget about you. So you have to be.
Out of sight, out of mind.
Yeah.
My mum tells that all the time. I share that with everybody quite regularly. So we've got some great top tips. We've had some great answers about diversification. We've been looking at your achievements and what you've accomplished over the time. What's now the next step for Greg Friel? If we could fast forward about 6 months or a year, what's the next step for Freelance Music and Mr. Greg Friel?
Well, for me, personally, and it is professionally as well, over the lockdown period, I ended up writing and recording a brand new solo album, which I wasn't anticipating. But it's been amazing. And it's, I've actually reconnected as well with some major people within the music industry. I'd really taken a step back from the music industry over the past 3 4 years, still doing music, but not industry stuff so much. And I've started to reconnect to people in that world. So I'm back to writing and producing more. And I'm really, really excited about doing that, because that's, my sort of great passion more than anything else. But I just didn't want to. I'd had so many bad experiences in the music industry that I was like, I need a break from that. So I'm going to be doing a lot more of that, writing and producing. You'll probably see a lot more posy videos of me wearing shades and lip syncing to my songs.
Really?
Yes, if
Yeah.
that's possible.
Okay.
There'll be more. So there's going to be a lot more of the music side of things. I'm going to be doing a lot more of the webinars and one-to-one coaching. I love doing it. I love helping businesses, and being the creative guy. I love being put on the spot with, can you come up with an idea for such and such? Yeah. Whenever it's like a Q&A situation, I do love that. So if I can help businesses doing that, then I will. So I'll be doing a lot more of that. I think an awful lot of us we can't really plan too much because we don't really know.
No.
So in a general sense, I just know that I'm going to be doing more of what I can do online, just more of that. Because there's a whole side of my business that I'm not able to do just now. I'm not able to go out and do events, not singing anywhere, not doing DJing or event hosting, any of that side of things. And I don't think there's going to be a lot of that between now and the end of the year either. So I think it's just building up all the other side of things so that when that does come back, then it's a bonus. It's just not a necessity.
Yeah, 100%. And thanks. And I'm looking forward to seeing the wavy locks. And for people listening, he waves his hair around. It's always about Greg and his hair. So we're looking forward to seeing more of that coming very soon out there for us. So with everything on that, how can people get in touch with Greg Friel? How can people make contact, connect, engage with Mr. Greg?
I'm on LinkedIn, Greg Friel, GREGFRIEL. I am everywhere on social media. I'm on Instagram at Frielance Music. That's FRIELANCE music. That's for the music side of things. Also, for the social media side of things, it's Frielance Media. And there's websites for both. freelancemusic.co.uk is more my music side of things, and freelancemedia.co.uk is social media content, and you can reach me for one-to-one coaching and that sort of things there. And I'm obviously I'm on Facebook and Twitter. And if you don't find me under Frielance Music, you'll find me under Frielance Media on everything.
Brilliant. Well, thank you very much, Greg. Thanks for sharing.
Thank you, Lee.
No, it's been an absolute pleasure, and getting to know a bit more and what the next level is going to be for yourself. And I wish you all the very most of successes that's going to happen over the next coming months and years for you. Looking forward to welcoming a new business owner, entrepreneur to ReConnect Meets over the next coming weeks. So stay tuned, keep an eye, and we look forward to seeing you at next time at ReConnect Meets business owners and business community from across the UK. Thanks again, Greg. Have a great rest of the week.
Thank you, Lee.
And have a great weekend, everybody. See you all soon. Bye-bye for now.